guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be looking at the difference between flying your drone with ND filters versus no ND filters and motion blur added in post-production. This is how I typically fly, but I'm actually trying the PGYtech ND filters today, and I'm going to be using ND16 for the most part because it's a really bright day. And no, I will not be flying here in the woods. Oh my god, this is way too wet. I'm gonna have to find a takeoff spot, and typically I take off my backpack, so everything's really wet. Now I do have to stress out that I am in the shaded side of this valley, so here of course everything's gonna be wet. If I was over there, would be nicer. Okay, as for the ND filters, I have 3 of them in this 3 combo pack. Now I'm not sponsored by PGYtech, but I think these are really good filters because they don't change the colors as much and they work really well. So you have an ND16, which I have on my drone. Then there's also an ND4 and an ND8 inside here, and my filters are very dirty. ND8 would be used for, let's say, a little bit more cloudy, dark day, and ND4, well, honestly, I don't know where you would need an ND4. But the reason why you want to use ND filters is to slow down the shutter speed. Now, the DJI FPV drone records all video with 50 or 60 frames per second. I'm using 50 because I live in Europe and I use a 25 frames per second timeline. But if I use an ND16 on a bright sunny day, which is on that side right now, I can actually slow my shutter speed down to 1/50th of a second. I will take that 50 frames per second, play it on a 25 frames per second timeline, and get the cinematic motion blur, which is 1/50th of a second. But if I was to stick to the 180-degree rule, 50 frames per second would require me to record with 1/100th of a second shutter speed, and then if I would slow it down half speed, I would get the equivalent of 1/50th. But honestly, the footage from this drone, I typically speed it up to make it more dramatic. So 1/50th of a second is going to be ISO 100, white balance manually set to, I don't know, whatever it's going to be, 5500, and the shutter speed of that 1/50th using the ND16. So let's try it first with the ND filter and then without the ND filter, and then the same footage without the ND filter but with post-production motion blur applied. I will play the clips side by side and you can see if there's any difference, and I will also write down the render times required for the same clip to be rendered. Now that was a close call. I actually hit a branch. You see, the problem with manual exposing is, well, that the exposure doesn't adjust if you come into a darker area, which means that I could not see the tree in front of me, and using ND filters and forcing yourself to shoot at, let's say, 1/50th of a second shutter speed and constant exposure means that if the scene is really contrasty, you're going to start hitting things like I do most of the time. Anyway, now what are the pros for ND filters and what are the cons for ND filters? Well, the pros are that you get a straight good looking video out of your drone. You have that motion blur that you need, and you only need to color correct, color adjust, exposure adjust, or whatever it is type of color grade that you do in post-production. And usually all of those processes are not taxing on your computer. But if you don't use ND filters and if you add motion blur afterwards, then this could result in longer render times, meaning that your computer will suffer a little bit more. And if you're a Davinci Resolve user like I am, you actually need to have the Studio paid version in order to get the motion blur effect. So am I going to use ND filters in the future? Well, probably yes. I think they're actually a good thing, and since I bought them might as well use them. So there you have it, that's my opinion. Honestly, I don't know, ND filters or no ND filters, you can get around without them, but it's much easier if you do have them. So at this point, I would kindly ask you to hit the like button if you found this video interesting. This just tells YouTube to promote the video a little bit more, so thank you for that. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and if you want to start a chat, we can do that down below in the comment section. So thanks for watching, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.